Superbooth has just wrapped up. I just got home this morning, so I figured I'd give you a quick overview of some of the things that caught my eye when I was there this week. For those of you who don't know, Superbooth is held every year in Berlin, in the Fez. And it's a sort of a showground, sort of an exhibition space, but also has a lovely wooden area around it. And so Superbooth takes place in tents in this wooden area and also in the main exhibition building itself. But it has a lovely, relaxed vibe. People are just chilling out, drinking, sitting in deck chairs. Lots of live performances from some top-tier performers all day long across multiple stages. Let me take you through some of the things that caught my eye. And I'm going to start with something a little unusual, which is a MIDI controller. And it's from Neuzeit Instruments, who up until now have made really, really wonderful eurorack modules, which I've covered on my channel. And what they've done is they've taken the classic MIDI controller, they've enhanced it with a screen, they've added a way to parameterize the different knob settings and fader settings so that you can set them and then move between them or morph between them in time with a clock. And so you can build, and then drop.
Let's do a drop. Drop. I do a build up first.
I'm looking forward to getting my hands up, maybe testing it out, doing some videos, and it's definitely one to watch. Next was a synth that caught my eye from well-known modular manufacturer FRAP Tools in Italy. Now, the Magnolia is a prototype right now. It's not for sale. And so it was a very popular device. I had to go early in the morning to get video with nobody in the way. And even then it was quite crowded in their booth. What is Magnolia? Well, right now it's an 8-voice polyphonic synth with aftertouch. It's got some West Coast style synthesis built in with wave folders and wave shapers. It really was the device that kind of caught everyone's attention because it's big, it's bright, it's white, it looks lovely, and it's also like a rich new take on the classic polyphonic synth. Next up is the Xaoc Devices Oradea, which are 4 voltage controlled resonators. Now, a resonator responds to the incoming audio in time with like different settings you can put on it. There's damping controls. Imagine a metal spring resonating in response to audio coming in, but you can also pluck them with a little ping signal sent into it. But Oradea kind of takes that and expands it. It has 4 independent resonators, which means it's going to, I think, pair up perfectly with Samarcanda. And as everything with Xaoc Devices, it is incredibly high quality. It sounds amazing, from plucky, pingy sounds to kind of more experimental, drawn-out sounds. I could see people using it for all sorts of things, from ambient music all the way to like techno music, if you really want to mess up your sound. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it, hopefully, and doing some videos with it to show you what it can do. The next module I went to check out was the Bohm kick drum module from Ohmforce. Now, Ohmforce are already well known in the plugin space for distortion modules, which they also put into this module format here, which is called Ohmicide. And so this is a new module, or a set of modules in their lineup that do everything you want a kick drum to do.
It's always synchronized, so the imaging always on the kick.
So it's not just a matter of just the kick itself. They've added a module at the end, which allows you to add the techno rumble, or kind of those like sounds. So there's a multi-tap delay that you can voltage control, but you can also bring in and out using a volume slider. On the front end, there's a ducking effect that other audio can come in and be ducked by the kick. So they've actually thought of like, what does a kick need to have around it to be a useful performance tool? Next up, we have another controller, but a very different type of controller. controller, which is a 2D or XY gesture controller from Bela. Now, Bela are well known for making the Gliss, which is the finger-sensitive motion CV generator, recorder, LFO, keyboard. It's a very flexible device, but they've now taken all of that know-how from that device and turned it into a 2D X and Y gesture controller that allows you to do many, many different things, from just simple XY outputs that you move your finger across, which can be recorded and played back. There seems to also be some sort of sequencer in it. They're still working on the firmware. And all of this can be output over CV for controlling your performances. So still a prototype. That's what they had at Superbooth. It was great to see that the movement was very smooth. The screen was very clear. The colors were rich. It's a very inviting device to play. So hopefully we'll see that coming out later this year, and it'll live up to the promise of the prototype. Next up in the line of modules I went to WMD's it's a wooden bungalow. It's in a place called Bungalowdorf, where you find a lot of the manufacturers there, and that's one of my favorite places to spend time at Superbooth. I went to their cabin to see Skorpion, and it is their new waveform. They call it a waveform reanimator. It's a 8-stage wavefolder, but it's typical with WMD devices. A ton of thinking and rework and great ideas have been packaged in here. And like everything WMD does, it sounds amazing. So I think the pre-orders are now open. It's pretty pricey. It's about €900, so about $1,000, give or take. But if you're into that kind of thing and you know the quality of their devices, I don't think you'll hesitate to order one. I stopped off in the main exhibition hall at the Reliq Instruments booth. Now, I've featured Reliq, I think it was about 2 years ago. I saw the prototype they had brought to Superbooth. And what is it? It is a huge, it's really big. It's actually really, really sizable device, but I'd say it's much more suitable for studios. But it's it is a massive sequencer for controlling MIDI devices, CV devices, but also audio routing. Because one thing you can do is to find all the ins and outs of audio that you want to route around inside your modular system, and then you can use the sequencer in Reliq to change the audio routings as your performance progresses. So say you wanted audio going to a compressor and then you want it going to a delay, you could change that around and send it somewhere else. It's great to see them finally come into production. I don't know if I'd ever buy one for myself, but certainly I know a lot of people have backed on the Kickstarter and they finally now overcome all the production issues and got them going out to customers, which is great to see. So I was just happy to stop by, and actually when you see a product show up as a prototype and then a few years later go to production, it's always a lovely feeling to see that. All right, let's see what else I have on my list here. Yes, I would be remiss if I didn't, of course, mention the Oxi One Mk2, which I now have with the lovely white keys, which I personally prefer over the black keys. I just find them a little easier to read. Well, the Oxi One Mk2, obviously, it's not exactly super secret because I did a video on it on the channel just last week, but it was now there for people to see, to touch, to feel, to use, to ask questions about, and the response was very, very positive. Every time I stopped by the Oxi booth to speak with them, there was a huge crowd around and I couldn't even get up to talk to the guys there. I look forward to see what they do with it, and I will be covering it in videos in the future. MORDAX, who are well known in the modular community for the data oscilloscope, the 4-channel oscilloscope that you see in DivKids videos, for example, they have now come out with a rework of the Siren drone oscillator, making it a little bit more production ready, enhancing a few of the features. Siren is a kind of a wave shaping oscillator. There's faders on it that allow you to navigate around the wavetables in it. So wavetables, again, being very popular for oscillator design. And unlike, as I said, other wavetable oscillators that can sound very thin, Siren had a very deep, rich sound. So still getting it together in terms of production runs, and it looks like it'll be late summer for availability. So keep an eye out for that one. The sounds I heard out of it were really, really good. Hopefully I get one to have a play with and we can do a video on it. Now, I've done plenty of videos with flame modular devices over the years on the channel, the Tact and the Fire drum machine. They've got the Cosmos, which is a 4-voice FM synth module, which I'll be doing a video on shortly. And they've just come out with a rework of a classic module of theirs called the Maander. It's a fixed filter bank that has multiple stages of filters, but also has a 4-voice polyphonic oscillator in it, which can be either MIDI controlled or CV controlled. You can sequence the way the filters come in and out. It was able to generate really, really rich sounds. I kind of enjoyed playing with it. It was a brief stopover because they were, again, quite busy. This is one of those devices that could actually sit very well as a standalone device, rather than being in a rack, because it's quite big. It seemed to be about that big or so. I think that could go very nicely in a standalone setup. I stopped off with Shakmat, who have been reworking a lot of their classic modules. You've seen me do a video on the Griffin's Claws here. They have a new Bishop's Miscellaneously. Miscellaneously? Am I saying it right?
So it's a random tool I can again add on top of that, like, I don't know. I can record again.
They have a rework of their hi-hat snare module called Lancer's Lash.
Analog engine, typical tier 808, 909, 606 style. We try to cover the very wide range. The analog is like made of two parts, the sign and the noise, right?
And just playing around with it and kind of scrolling through the different sounds, it was really amazing. The sound out of it was just really, really good. Another table I stopped off with was Intellijel, who of course make fantastic quality modules. They had a new mixer called the Jellymix, which is a fun name. It's a desktop mixer, not a module, and it takes 1/4-inch jacks in. It has 5 stereo channels with tilt EQ. There's 2 aux sends per channel, and it also has a DJ-style low-pass, high-pass filter on the output. It was actually a really popular device and quite well made, very substantial. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they take that and evolve it over time. Of course, I also oogled over the Cascadia, which I've had my eye on for a while, which I think would sound amazing through something like multigrain or any number of different delays. We also had our YouTuber meetup organised by Bo Beats on Saturday afternoon in the wooded area. This was the largest crowd I'd ever seen turn out for this. There was probably 150 people there. It really was amazing to get to see everybody talk and chat. People who you would normally only see online, you would get to have a chat with them, but you also get to meet the people who watch your videos. And they're the ones who make it worthwhile for me, just talking to people, hearing what they have to say. Well, I think that's enough blabbing on from me about all different things I saw at Superbooth. It really was a wonderful week, but the most enjoyable part of it was catching up with people, seeing old friends, and making new ones, of course. But for sure, I will be back again next year and reporting on what I see there. Hopefully you found this interesting. Do let me know any questions you have in the comments down below about anything I saw there and any other questions you might have. And thanks for watching.